All right, so recently I've been covering the Chris Avellone case. There's a major update in this case. Chris Avellone is a video game writer. He's worked on all sorts of games like the Fallout series, a bunch of RPGs. He was working on Dying Light 2 when a woman accused him of assaulting her or attempting to sexually assault her. Was very vocal in speaking with the press, calling him a sex predator and all these other things. And he ended up denying all these claims and taking her to court. The case was first tried in California, but was struck down due to jurisdictional issues. And he then sued her in Illinois and won. Well, it was settled. But it seems to me that he won because she and another woman who accused him, who's a friend of hers, both had to retract their statements. They issued a statement saying he is not a sexual predator, he did not commit assault. They have no knowledge of him doing anything wrong, and he should be welcomed back to the industry. They also emailed all the outlets that they had spoken with and asked them to retract their statements. I'm not sure. I know some of these places have posted about that, have published articles about that, including Kotaku, but some I don't think have updated those articles or retracted those statements. I don't think they should pull those articles because they are a piece of history, but hopefully places like The Gamer make a clear update and update the headlines to reflect that. But this has gotten me thinking about this phrase that popped up during the Me Too movement. The phrase is "believe women." And as with so many slogans in politics and in social discourse and in the culture wars in general, these little soundbite political movements are pretty vapid, and "believe women" is one of those pretty vapid slogans that is just so clearly does not hold up to scrutiny. If you can interrogate the slogan and it falls apart instantly, you know you have a problem with your slogan. Kind of like saying "resist" when you're just a Hillary Clinton Democrat. About as mainstream, milk toast a person as you can find. But there's sort of three things about this phrase that bother me: "believe women." Now, obviously, I think you should believe people who you trust. If your good friend or your family member or somebody comes to you and says something terrible has happened to them, your initial response shouldn't be like, "prove it to me." No, you should believe them. You should hear their story and do what you can to help them. At the same time, in general, if some strange person you don't know online comes and makes a claim, you shouldn't believe them without any sort of verification process. You should be open to believing them because maybe they're telling the truth, but you should also be open to mistrusting them because maybe they're telling a lie. You can't know. Obviously, in some of these Me Too cases, where a person with a long history of sexual predation and bad behavior has multiple accusers and witnesses and all sorts of evidence, you can pretty much believe that. Journalists have gone to great length to sort out a lot of these details before they go to print in a lot of cases. And for the most part, a well-investigated case with lots of proof is easy to believe, and you probably should. But somebody like in the Chris Avellone case who comes and makes claims on Twitter without any witnesses, without any evidence, and just makes these claims, I don't know why the whole internet seems to think that we should just believe her. For one thing, I feel like this phrase, "believe women," is very, very condescending to women. It sets women apart as this special class of person that is uniquely in a position to tell the truth, but also uniquely in a position to be a victim. It victimizes women to say "believe women." Again, I'm not saying we should disbelieve women either, but just like men or any kind of person out there, women are just people fully capable of lying about what's happened to them or about distorting the truth. So assuming that all women are just telling the truth is kind of like putting them up on a pedestal, right? it is like very similar to the noble savage fallacy, where people treat Native Americans or other indigenous people as though they're uniquely spiritual and peaceful and good. When the reality is, people are just people no matter where you go, no matter who you encounter, fully capable of wicked deeds, fully capable of noble deeds, lying, truth-telling, whatever. It's fundamentally just kind of an arrogant position to say, believe women, as though they are some, the fairer sex. It's very chauvinistic in a way. So from a feminist perspective, we shouldn't believe women because women are equal to men. And if you're going to be equal to men, you can't be some unique being incapable of telling falsehoods. The second issue that I have with this statement is that it's clearly and patently false, because just like assuming that all women are truth tellers, this assumes that all women simply agree on everything. And we know that that's not the case. Just look at the abortion debate. There are many, many pro-choice women, and there are many, many, many pro-life women, or anti-abortion women, however you want to say this. Language is all a lie, right? We say pro-life or pro-choice to bolster our own side in this debate. But the fact is women disagree on it quite strongly. I always found it a little arrogant of the pro-choice side to make this to be like something that it was like men coming after women's choice, when a lot of times it's women. All the most passionate people I've met on the pro-life side have been women. But just like, let's say two women get in a car accident and they disagree on what happened, or two women are. I mean, how many times? It's just like with men. Women can have different stories that conflict with each other. So how do you believe women if there's two women saying two different things? You simply cannot do that. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. So just on the most basic level, this slogan falls apart. Okay. So the third thing I will say is that I do understand that this is all very well intended. There's been a problem, obviously, for as long as human history, with sexual assault, with what we call the patriarchy, with men taking advantage of women, and we should want healthy change, to occur, so that women don't have to be afraid of being assaulted, and that when that does happen, it's easier to come forward and talk about it. Because I know for a fact that it's not easy for most people men or women, who are assaulted, molested, raped, or whatever, to come forward and talk about that. Often because people don't believe them. Often because it can be shameful, or it can have an effect on their reputation, or they're embarrassed about it around, for their families to find out. It's a very difficult thing to talk about. So I do understand that this phrase, believe women, is well intended. But remember, good intentions pave the road to hell. I know that's sort of a trite saying, but it's also true, because it's so easy for people to take something that was designed to be good and use it for bad purposes. And again, in certain cases, we see false accusations happen. And I'm not even saying, obviously, there are tons of true allegations out there, right? People make these allegations, and it's very difficult to prove them often, and there isn't a lot of evidence. And so we don't want to ever shut down people who need to come forward and report these things to the police, or talk to them about with their loved ones. But we have to be careful that we don't just run with this sort of thing and make the slogan all important rather than the intention behind it, because that's how the road is paved to hell, right? When you take the original purpose of something good and then you distort it into something that is bad. So, for instance, this is where cancel culture goes off the rails, right? The heart of cancel culture isn't really a bad thing. It's saying, look, there are bad people out there, and we need to take their power away, right? They are inflicting harm on others. They are bullies. They are abusers. Maybe they're, whatever they're doing that's horrible and terrible. We need to be able to call them out and shut them down. That's not a bad thing. But it's abused, right? Cancel culture is abused to just shut down anyone you disagree with, or in certain cases to make false allegations that ruin their reputations and livelihoods. So you have to be careful about that, and that's why slogans are bad. That's why building your own political outlook around slogans is bad, and that's what you see online because social media is so vapid and one-dimensional. You get a lot of people whose entire political ethos is really just it's I'm going to do what my in-group says to do. I'm going to follow this. I'm going to believe women, even if the women come forward later and say, we were wrong, we didn't actually mean this, this isn't true. And that's what we've seen with the Avellone case, which is absolutely crazy to me, even though they've come and recanted their statements, even though they have reached out to these publications and asked them to retract. People are still coming around and saying, no, this is just the legal system. He's bullying them. We have to believe women. Okay. Again, believing women does not just mean believing every woman all of the time over every single thing, because it's literally not possible, and because this is how you pave the road to hell. It's the same bizarre state of mind or way of thinking that leads some people to say that all men are bad, right? That rather, and here's the problem with that. When you start saying all men are bad, or you start saying that anybody in the Republican Party is a white supremacist, or, you start to, all conservatives are fascists or whatever. When you start to lump everybody into a blanket statement, and this seems very obvious to me, so I'm apologizing right now for stating the obvious, but when you do that, you diminish the actually problematic things in the world, right? You take something like white supremacy, Nazism, fascism, whatever, and it just becomes nothing. It becomes meaningless. The guy that just doesn't, that doesn't, I don't know, want to bake a cake for a gay couple is now a Nazi. You equate that with murdering 6 million Jewish people, or when you start to say believe, you start to undermine your own arguments eventually, right? Believe women. Even if they're lying, we have to believe them. And pretty soon, people start to lose faith in that, right? And this is what we start to see happening. This is why it's bad for women when you make false accusations, because people start to distrust women who are not making false accusations. Or, again, like with something like the white supremacy thing, this really, when you start calling everybody that's to the right of you a Nazi, the actual Nazis are the ones who benefit from this, right? They're the ones who then can have, well, we're Nazis, but everybody who voted for Trump is a Nazi. So I think, I don't know. I think language is important. I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm a writer. I think language matters. How we use it matters. Definitions matter. Words matter. The way that we deploy language matters a great deal because it can be weaponized very easily. And just looking around at the politics of the day, it really does just boil down to, I think on both sides of the aisle now, what our culture has become is this ongoing attempt to just destroy the other side. Not even for necessarily for a political cause, not to make the world a better place, not to become more free, not to become more just, but just to destroy the other side. And politics has become this effort, this endless grind to just diminish and dehumanize and destroy. And maybe it's always been like that. Maybe that's always been the case. Maybe it just feels different now because of the internet. Maybe it just feels different now because maybe it's my own perspective on things. I don't know. But it's disheartening. And I think that at the heart of a lot of it is, that we deal so much in sound bites and so much in slogans and so much in these ultimately sort of trivial, low-calorie bullshit, groovy little morsels, to quote Succession. But, yeah. So, yeah. Go, trust but verify. That's what I always say. Don't rush to judgment. Don't make up your mind super fast. Every time I've done that in my life, when I've just seen something and I've just, I just believe it. I read the headline. I don't read the post, right? That kind of thing. I regret it. It does not It does not make you wiser, does not help you be a better person, citizen, neighbor, countryman, whatever. So, on that note, I will sign off. Thank you for watching. I've been a little silent these last few days. I think sometimes I make these videos and then I get overcome with sort of a paralysis, an intellectual paralysis where I just don't know. This uncertainty, this dread overwhelms me, and I just won't publish. So I have like 3 unpublished videos that I was going to put out this week, and I just didn't. Not because I'm saying anything totally outlandish or crazy or offensive, but just I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just the way my brain works, I guess. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Peace.